For more than a decade, Katy Perry cultivated one of the most recognizable images in pop music. She dominated charts, sold out arenas across the world, and built a career defined by spectacle, humor, and mass appeal. But in April 2026, that carefully managed public image was suddenly thrown into turmoil after a series of allegations surfaced online and quickly escalated into an official police investigation in Australia. The controversy began on April 12, 2026, when actress and television personality Ruby Rose responded to a social media post discussing a joke Perry had made about Justin Bieber following his Coachella performance. What initially looked like another celebrity exchange on social media rapidly turned into something much more serious. Ruby Rose publicly accused Perry of misconduct connected to an incident that allegedly took place in Melbourne in 2010 at the now-closed Spice Market nightclub. Within days, the story exploded across entertainment media worldwide. Then the situation escalated further when Australian authorities confirmed that detectives from Victoria Police's Sexual Offences and Child Abuse Investigation Team, commonly known as SOSIT, were reviewing a historical allegation tied to an incident that allegedly occurred in Melbourne during 2010. Although police did not publicly identify either Katy Perry or Ruby Rose, widespread media attention quickly linked the investigation to the accusations circulating online. The involvement of SOSIT immediately drew attention because the unit specializes in handling sexual offense investigations. Unlike ordinary police divisions, SOSIT investigators are specifically trained for these kinds of cases and often work alongside forensic specialists and trauma counselors. Their role is to examine historical and current allegations with detailed investigative procedures, particularly in cases involving sensitive claims and delayed reporting. One important factor in the Australian legal system is that the state of Victoria does not impose a statute of limitations on sexual offenses. That means allegations connected to incidents many years in the past can still be investigated and potentially prosecuted if authorities believe sufficient evidence exists. Because of that legal framework, even an allegation tied to events from 2010 can remain legally relevant in 2026. Ruby Rose later stated online that she had completed formal statements with police and would no longer discuss the matter publicly. According to her posts, investigators requested confidentiality while the process remained ongoing. After that statement, she largely stopped commenting publicly on the issue. The allegations themselves quickly became the subject of intense online debate. Supporters of Ruby Rose argued that delayed reporting in cases involving alleged misconduct is common, especially when one party is significantly more powerful or influential than the other. Critics, however, pointed to inconsistencies between Rose's recent claims and comments she had made publicly years earlier about the same night. That contradiction became one of the central talking points in the controversy. Back in 2011, Ruby Rose had written a column for an Australian media outlet describing a night out with Katy Perry at Spice Market nightclub. In that earlier article, she portrayed the evening as an embarrassing drunken experience and joked about vomiting on Perry's foot after breaking a period of sobriety. At the time, she did not describe the incident as traumatic or mention any misconduct allegations. When the old article resurfaced online after her 2026 accusations, many people argued it undermined her credibility. Others countered that trauma survivors sometimes publicly minimize or reframe painful experiences for years before eventually discussing them more directly. Ruby Rose addressed the contradiction herself, saying she had intentionally turned the experience into a humorous story because she did not know how to process it emotionally at the time. The debate surrounding delayed disclosure quickly became part of a much larger conversation online about trauma, celebrity power dynamics, and public accountability. Meanwhile, Katy Perry's representatives issued a forceful denial. The statement described the allegations as categorically false and accused Ruby Rose of spreading reckless misinformation. Legal analysts immediately noted that the wording of the response appeared carefully crafted, especially considering Australia's defamation laws, which differ significantly from those in the United States. In the U.S., public figures generally must prove actual malice to win defamation lawsuits. In Australia, however, the burden often shifts more heavily toward the accused speaker to prove their claims are true. Because of that difference, Australia has become known as a comparatively favorable environment for celebrities pursuing defamation claims. As a result, Many observers interpreted Perry's response not simply as public relations damage control, but as language potentially designed with future legal action in mind. Still, Katy Perry herself remained largely silent. Instead of directly addressing the allegations, she posted an Instagram story featuring artwork from her song, By the Grace of God, alongside the phrase, "I love you." Fans immediately began analyzing the post for hidden meaning, particularly because one lyric from the song references truth and freedom. Some interpreted it as a message to supporters, while others viewed it as an indirect response to the controversy. Perry never clarified the intent. The timing of the scandal also intensified public interest because Perry had already faced a difficult stretch professionally and personally. Her recent music projects had received mixed reviews, and several online controversies over the past few years had damaged parts of her public image. Social media criticism surrounding previous collaborations, public appearances, and high-profile relationships had already created an atmosphere where negative headlines spread quickly. Against that backdrop, the allegations gained enormous traction online. Attention soon shifted to Spice Market itself, the Melbourne nightclub where the alleged incident reportedly occurred. The venue had once been one of the city's best-known celebrity nightlife destinations. Located near Melbourne's Grand Hyatt Hotel, it was known for its elaborate decor, large crowds, and private VIP areas frequently used by visiting entertainers. Ironically, the club had permanently closed only months before the allegations became public. By the time police began reviewing the claims, the venue no longer existed. Former staff had dispersed, and any surveillance footage from 2010 would almost certainly have been erased years earlier under standard retention policies. That lack of physical evidence became one of the biggest complications surrounding the investigation. With no known video footage and limited surviving records, investigators would likely need to rely heavily on witness recollections and any private photographs or communications that still existed. According to reports, several individuals may have been present that evening, including friends, club staff, security personnel, and members of Perry's touring team. Whether any of those individuals could provide useful testimony remains unknown. As the controversy grew, older stories and past accusations involving Katy Perry resurfaced online. Critics argued that previous incidents reflected a broader pattern of boundary-crossing behavior, while defenders insisted many of those moments had been exaggerated, taken out of context, or framed humorously at the time. One frequently discussed example involved actor and model Josh Kloss, who appeared in Perry's Teenage Dream music video. In 2019, Kloss claimed that Perry had publicly exposed him at a party without his consent. Perry never directly responded to the allegation, though people close to her disputed aspects of his account. Another resurfaced moment involved an appearance on American Idol, where contestant Benjamin Glaze later said he felt uncomfortable after Perry unexpectedly kissed him during his audition. While Glaze stopped short of calling the incident harassment, he explained that the experience embarrassed him because he wanted his first kiss to happen in a more personal setting. Additional stories involving public figures and media personalities also began circulating again online as people revisited older interviews and anecdotes through a different lens. Supporters of Perry argued that many of these stories had originally been treated as jokes or awkward celebrity moments and were now being retroactively reframed because of changing social attitudes. Critics responded that behavior dismissed as playful in earlier years might still have crossed personal boundaries. That larger cultural debate became deeply intertwined with the allegations from Ruby Rose. As of now, several major questions remain unresolved. First, investigators would need to determine whether enough evidence exists to support moving the case forward. Historical allegations are often extremely difficult to prove, especially when physical evidence no longer exists and witness memories may have faded over time. Second, Ruby Rose has claimed she possesses photographs and witnesses connected to the night in question, though none have been publicly released. If such evidence exists and supports portions of her account, it could become significant in both criminal and civil contexts. Third, Katy Perry's legal team still has the option to pursue defamation proceedings if they believe the accusations have seriously damaged her reputation. However, filing such a lawsuit could also create additional legal risks by opening the door to discovery processes involving private communications and witness testimony. Finally, public opinion remains sharply divided. Some people believe Ruby Rose's allegations deserve serious consideration, regardless of the time elapsed since the alleged incident. Others remain skeptical because of inconsistencies in prior public statements, and because no direct physical evidence has emerged publicly so far. What makes the controversy especially unusual is the era in which the alleged event occurred. The incident reportedly took place during a transitional period before smartphones, and social media documented every moment of celebrity nightlife. There are no live streams, viral videos, or endless digital records from that night. Instead, the case depends largely on human memory, witness credibility, and whatever private evidence may still exist 16 years later. That uncertainty is exactly why the story continues to dominate headlines. At this stage, no charges have been announced, no court has ruled on the allegations, and the investigation remains ongoing. Until authorities complete their work, much of the public conversation remains speculative, driven as much by online commentary and celebrity culture as by confirmed facts. What happens next could depend on several key individuals: Ruby Rose, Katy Perry, investigators from Saucet, or witnesses connected to the events of that night in Melbourne. Any new testimony, legal action, or released evidence could dramatically change public perception overnight. For now, the case sits in a tense and uncertain space between accusation